Hello there, it's midnight here in Algiers. You're watching World News program on All 24 News. I'm Karim Fazakri, your host for tonight. Coming up next. Despite UN resolution, escalating Zionist aggression claims dozens of lives in new massacre in Gaza's Jabalia. Also ahead, UN and EU report alarming 25% of Gaza population starving and over 80% of children facing acute food poverty and warning of catastrophic famine. In our program as well, tune in to catch up on the massive global protest condemning aggression on Gaza and Moroccan streets stirred by ongoing betrayal on anniversary of Zionist Moroccan normalization. And later on, Algerian president advocates for increased civil society participation and youth involvement in joint Arab action, renewing commitment to building a new Algeria. The details after the break. Hello again and welcome to the program. First, an in-depth look at the unfortunate events in the occupied Palestinian territories. On Saturday, a Zionist airstrikes in Jabalia, Gaza, resulted in numerous Palestinian casualties. Occupation forces attempted to advance into Jabalia al-Balad, disrupting communication lines. In Tell as well, bodies of martyrs lay scattered in the streets, and the occupation forces obstructed ambulance crews while damaging parts of the Indonesian hospital. The full story with Usama Ayadi.
In a gripping crisis unfolding in the Gaza Strip and West Bank, Zionist bombings are wreaking havoc on civilians, causing a surge in tensions and a staggering number of casualties. In Jabalia, an open war of extermination unfolds as Zionist forces retaliate against residents, resisting forced displacement, even at the cost of their own lives. Claiming many innocents' lives, the strikes in Jabalia's Algeria area reduced it to rubble, complicating rescue efforts. Further northeast in Tell, the aftermath reveals a grim scene with scattered bodies due to restricted movement, denying proper burials for the deceased.
We were at home. I was taking a shower, and when I got out of the bathroom, the house was hit by a drone missile. The house was struck, and all the surrounding streets were damaged. The house collapsed over those inside. My sister was martyred, and my cousin was wounded.
Shocking reports detail 5 Palestinians, including a child, killed in a Zionist bombing at the Barrage refugee camp. Airstrikes didn't exclude the Arbala hidden homes and added to the toll, causing more casualties. Sheikh Radwan and the Shujaiya neighborhoods also experienced heavy airstrikes, while Khan Yunis remains surrounded, hampering ambulance access to the wounded.
We headed to the site on foot, searched for bodies with our bare hands, and retrieved some bodies from under the rubble, as well as decomposing bodies that have been scattered on the roads and streets for over 10 days. We retrieved them, wrapped them in shrouds, and thank God they are now being buried.
Meanwhile, across the West Bank, conflict intensified as Zionist forces stormed Jenin, engaging in violent clashes with Palestinian resistance fighters. Disturbing video footage captures military vehicles entering the city, and reports emerge of the government hospital losing electricity. The occupation forces extended the reach to multiple cities and towns in the West Bank, conducting raids and arrests among Palestinian civilians in various regions. Amidst the occupation escalation of violence, the international community keeps urgently appealing for restraint and a peaceful resolution to prevent further senseless killings and needless suffering.
At another front, the Palestinian resistance ferociously clashed with Zionist occupation forces in Jabalia al-Balad, north of the Gaza Strip. Al-Qassam brigades deployed guerrilla action canisters, Al-Yassin shells and TPG shells resulting in casualties among the occupation forces. The destruction of 5 Zionist tanks in Jabalia was announced, with Al-Qassam brigades claiming to have killed and wounded all personnel using 2 unexploded Zionist missiles. Hamas's military wing reported one of its members killing 4 Zionist soldiers at close range in Al-Qasasib neighborhood. Additionally, Al-Quds brigade sniped a Zionist soldier east of Shujaya, while also conducting missile attacks on occupied cities and military sites. They confirmed bombing Zionist military concentrations in Azana, east of Khan Yunis, with mortar shells. The death toll from Zionist bombings in the Gaza Strip has surged to 201 in the last 24 hours, with over 360 reported injuries, as announced by the Palestinian Ministry of Health on Saturday. The total number of martyrs from Zionist aggression in Gaza has reached 20,258, with 353,688 injured, predominantly women and children. The Palestinian resistance reported that 5 of its members are likely to have been killed due to ongoing Zionist bombings in the Gaza Strip. Abu Ubaidah, the spokesman for the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam brigade, stated that the loss of contact with this group as a result of the occupation's airstrikes. The military wing of Hamas had earlier issued a plea for help from 3 of them in a video. UNICEF reports 80% of Gaza's children face acute food poverty, with 10,000 under 5 children at risk of life-threatening malnutrition. All the 335,000 children in this age group are in severe danger due to the collapse of food and health systems, with over 2/3 of hospitals non-functional. More with Salman Hassan.
In the Gaza Strip, weeks of limited access to food have resulted in a dire hunger crisis, with the looming specter of famine. Zionist attacks have battered local bakeries and food warehouses, compounding the struggle as their blockade hinders the flow of essential supplies like food, water, and fuel alike. The United Nations Children's Fund revealed a harsh reality. Over 80% of Gaza's children are grappling with acute food poverty, while more than 2/3 of hospitals are on the edge of becoming non-operable.
UNICEF estimates that in the coming weeks, at least 10,000 children under the age of 5 will suffer the most life-threatening from malnutrition, known as severe wasting, and will need therapeutic foods. More than 80% of young children are experiencing severe food poverty, and more than 1/3 of hospitals are no longer functioning because of the lack of fuel, water, and vital medical supplies, or because they sustained catastrophic damage in attacks.
For his part, European Union's High Representative Josep Borrell underscored the pervasive food insecurity engulfing Gaza's majority, with a quarter of the population on the brink of catastrophic hunger and famine.
100% of Gaza's population suffers from severe food insecurity, while a quarter of the Strip's population faces catastrophic hunger and famine. This is unprecedented, as no previous analysis on this matter has recorded such levels of food insecurity anywhere in the world. This development is extremely dangerous and should serve as a wake-up call for the entire world to act to prevent a deadly humanitarian catastrophe.
Another revelation was made by the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres on his X platform. 4 out of 5 of the world's famished people reside in Gaza. He also emphasized the UN's unwavering commitment amid escalating conflict and rising terror in the region.
More than 500,000 people, a quarter of the population, are facing what experts classify as catastrophic levels of hunger. 4 out of 5 of the hungriest people anywhere in the world are in Gaza. As I warned, public order is at risk of breaking down.
Candid reports on the dire situation keeps on coming. In a BBC interview, UNRWA Media Director Juliet Tuma lays bare the harsh truth. 1 in 4 Palestinians face acute malnutrition due to a scarcity of basic supplies. In Gaza, families grapple with the stark reality of diminishing food, worsened by crippling fuel shortages that make cooking nearly impossible. The depth of their struggle is painfully clear, yet, in the face of dire circumstances, their unwavering spirit of resoluteness and resistance stands tall.
The Palestinian Foreign Ministry asserted that the Security Council's resolution on providing aid to Gaza falls short of its responsibilities to halt aggression, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. The ministry emphasized the Council's obligation to implement resolutions addressing the roots of Zionist aggression, ending occupation, securing the legitimate rights of Palestinians, and achieving a two-state solution. Similarly, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry criticized the Security Council's aid resolution for Gaza, stating it falls short of addressing aggression and war crimes. They urged the Council to implement resolutions addressing the root causes of Zionist aggression, including ending the occupation and recognizing Palestinian rights and achieving the two-state solution. The League of Arab States considered the UN resolution overdue, with Secretary General Ahmed Abul-Gheit calling it insufficient in halting the Zionist war machine without ceasefire. He urged Washington to reconsider its position, warning that rejecting an immediate ceasefire allows for further harm to Palestinians.
The Council's decision is still far from what is needed to achieve, which is a complete ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The resolution is an attempt to prevent a famine in Gaza Strip and to save people, especially women and children, from a catastrophic situation. But it's not enough to stop the Israeli aggression machine, especially since it doesn't include the ceasefire. The decision came after a procrastination based on the desire of Israel. What is required is only the introduction of humanitarian aid to Gaza Strip, but mainly the protection of civilians from constant shelling. The refusal of an immediate ceasefire is a license to kill. The United States is required to reread the situation and make the right decision from both humanitarian and political point of view, instead of being led by the desire of Israeli extreme right to inflict collective punishment and comprehensive revenge on 2.3 million people in the Gaza Strip.
Still with world reaction, this time the Organization of Islamic Cooperation urging the UN Security Council to compel the Zionist occupation to promptly and fully adhere to the provisions of Resolution 2720, ensuring the delivery of humanitarian aid. In a statement, the organization reiterated its call to halt Zionist aggression and the crimes of destruction, displacement, and genocide inflicted upon the Palestinian people by occupation forces, particularly in the Gaza Strip. On Saturday, Western cities saw massive demonstrations against the ongoing Zionist aggression on Gaza. Thousands marched in major European cities, demanding an end to the aggression and showing support for the Palestinian people. Additionally, protests against normalization between the Makhzen and the Zionist entity expanded in Morocco, with hundreds of demonstrations in various cities expressing solidarity with Gaza. More details with Sofiane Kenturi.
In Palestine, each passing day waves a narrative that extends well beyond its borders, reaching the bustling avenues of cities worldwide. In fact, recent hours have been a surge of solidarity protests and resolute condemnations against the atrocities faced by Palestinians. In London, the streets transformed into a vivid stage for a massive solidarity march with Palestine, decorated with the vibrant colors of the Palestinian flag. Similarly, and despite the cold, crowds poured into the streets of Stockholm and Berlin, taking a stand against Zionist actions. Before embassies, their voices were raised, rejecting the harm and injustice inflicted on Palestinian civilians and demanding accountability. Even in New Jersey, United States of America, the call for justice echoed loud and clear. Amidst an ongoing wave of protests, expressions of support and solidarity with the Palestinian people resonate. The rallying cry insisted on an end to the oppression faced by those who champion the Palestinian cause.
You can't help but wonder, why is America so adamant on protecting Israel and its illegal settler state? Target, a company that touts itself as being a woke leader, has joined in the complicity by terminating Aya for speaking out against the killing of innocent people. Shame!
In Morocco as well, Protests and marches rejecting normalization with the occupier and the Zionist entity gained momentum. The Moroccan Association for Supporting the Causes of Nation declared plans for hundreds of demonstrations across dozens of Moroccan cities. The calls extend demanding the closure of Zionist communication office in Rabat.
On this ominous third anniversary of normalization, let our voice be heard in rejecting normalization, because we know what normalization is and what its drawbacks are.
Across the globe, efforts persist to shield Gaza's 2.3 million inhabitants from the ceaseless onslaught of the Zionist aggression. The focus remains on carving out safe passages for humanitarian aid in a landscape where Palestinians grapple with acute scarcity. The world rallies to alleviate to address the pressing needs of Palestinian people in the face of ongoing aggression and injustice.
The head of the Libyan Presidential Council, Mohammed al-Manfi, reiterated Libya's support for the Palestinian cause and the right to self-determination. He called for an immediate ceasefire and the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza during his meeting with the special envoy of Palestinian President Nabil Rudaina. The meeting took place at the Council's headquarters with the presence of the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of the State of Palestine to Libya, Mohammed Rahal. Abu Rudaina conveyed President Mahmoud Abbas's greetings and expressed appreciation for Libya's stance on the Palestinian issue. The special envoy presented an artistic painting of Al-Aqsa Mosque in acknowledgement of Libya's support for the Palestinian cause. Our bulletin continues, and also in our news on Saturday, a drone attacked a commercial ship belonging to the Zionist entity in the Indian Ocean, causing damage but no casualties. The British Maritime Trade Operations Agency confirmed the attack, leading to a fire on board the ship. The Embry Maritime Security Company noted that the ship flew the flag of Liberia, but had ties to the Zionist entity. The incident occurred 200 kilometers southwest of Veraval, India. On Saturday, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard pledged to close additional international waterways if the Zionist occupation's crimes against Gaza persisted. Deputy Commander-in-Chief Mohammad Reza Nagdi, speaking at a memorial service in Yemen, asserted that what he termed as America's allies have become paralyzed in Bab el-Mandeb and the Red Sea, following disruptions in the Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz.
America and its allies must wait for the birth of new resistance forces and close to the rest of the waterways in their face if the crimes of the Zionist entity continue in Gaza. The Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz have previously turned into a nightmare, and today they are paralyzed in Bab el-Mandeb and the Red Sea. If the crimes continue, they must wait for the Mediterranean Sea, Gibraltar, and the rest of the passages to be close to them soon.
To a different story now, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, represented by Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi, reiterated the call to enhance civil society participation and activate its role in the Joint Arab Action System. Speaking at the opening of the National Civil Society Forum in Algiers, he emphasized the importance of imparting a regional and Arab character to the work of civil society components through an effective participatory approach with official institutions across Arab countries.
The importance we give to civil society and its role has pushed us to highlight the regional and Arab dimension through affirmation on the occasion of the celebration of the work of the Arab Summit in Algiers, the first and second number 2022 in Algiers, and broadcasting participation in the components of civil society and making its role more efficient in the system of joint Arab action, and those among a series of initiatives aimed at providing Arab civil society with an effective role based on participatory approach with different official institutions of the Arab states.
President Tebboune urged civil society activists to actively contribute to efforts making its components a tangible and influential force to proposing initiatives.
ندعو فعاليات المجتمع المدني إلى المزيد من
We call on civil society actors to be more involved in the objectives aimed at transforming civil society into a real force of proposal with an attachment to the option participatory and commitment to act side by side with public authorities under the Constitution. As we invite representatives of civil society and all nation structures to contribute efficiently to the activities of their organizations and to convey the concerns and proposals of the different strata represented in order to enrich public debate and dialogue, as well as to mature public policies and support efforts to implement them, and also strengthen the capacity of public authorities in their evaluation when necessary.
قدرة السلطات العمومية على تقييمها وتقويمها متى لزم الأمر.
The Algerian president also reaffirmed his commitment to making civil society and youth the central pillar in constructing a new Algeria.
ولا يسعني في هذا الصدد.
In this wake, I can only reaffirm once again that the new Algeria, which has established civil society and youth as the main basis of its construction, will go forward with constancy in the moralization of public life by contacting a participatory and inclusive approach at the central and local level in everything that relates to the treatment of the daily concerns of citizens by responding to their aspirations. Add to this our resolute commitment to the establishment of a new path to meet the expectations of citizens through the adoption of the principles of participatory democracy and the consecration of the dialogue between different actors in the process of development and application of public policies, especially at local levels, which is mainly based on the daily and permanent interaction between multiple public structures and citizens.
المرافق العامة والمواطنين.
To other news now, as Morocco assumed the presidency of the United Nations Human Rights Council, the opposition from Sahrawi activists intensified. Members of the Association of Sahrawi Human Rights Defenders, the Sahrawi Center for Children and Women in Occupied Laayoune, the Association for the Protection of Sahrawi Prisoners in Moroccan prisons, along with former political detainees and Sahrawi jurists, called for support against Morocco's leadership in the Human Rights Council. Citing Morocco's history of human rights violations in the occupied Sahrawi territories since the 1975 invasion, they expressed their concerns during media statements.
As Sahrawi defenders of human rights and the Sahrawi civil society, we reject this candidacy and call for not voting for Morocco's presidency of a Human Rights Council in Geneva for a clear reason. Fortunately, Morocco's file is tainted with blood and the blood of Moroccan people, and stained with the blood of Sahrawi people also, due to serious violations occurring in the occupied Western Sahara since 1975.
The French army concluded its withdrawal from Niger on Friday, marking the end of a decade-long military presence in the Sahel region under the banner of anti-terrorism efforts. Simultaneously, Paris announced the closure of its embassy in Niamey, citing an inability to operate normally. More stories making headlines around the globe with Islam Said.
45 French unions and associations have urged President Macron to reject the controversial immigration law recently passed by the French Parliament. In a joint statement on Saturday, they condemn it as a pivotal moment for foreigners in France. The rally plans to continue protests on January 11, aiming to expand mobilization against the law and its ideology. The UN Security Council expressed its concern about the spread of violence in Sudan, with the displacement of more than 7 million people after the expansion of fighting between the two sides of the conflict in the country. According to a joint statement, the Council called on the parties to the conflict in Sudan to allow rapid, safe and unimpeded humanitarian access to all parts of Sudan. Ukrainian forces reported the downing of 3 Russian Su-34 fighter bombers in the southern region. The commander of the Ukrainian Air Force via telegram statement confirmed the incident on Friday afternoon. Local media linked the explosions in the Kherson region to the Ukrainian air defenses, engaged in shooting down the planes. Iraq, Nigeria and the Republic of the Congo OPEC members have reaffirmed their commitment to the oil producers group following Angola's withdrawal last week. The Congolese Minister of Hydrocarbons emphasized strong support for unity within OPEC and the OPEC Plus alliance to maintain global oil market balance. Nigeria confirmed its dedication to OPEC's goals, addressing concerns within Nigeria and across the African continent. Simultaneously, Iraq expressed continuous support for the organization, signaling readiness to make the largest reduction in supplies among the group's members in the next month to align with its new quota.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our program draws to a close. From me, Karim Zachary, and from all 24 News English team, thank you for tuning in. For more news, our social media platforms are still under your service. Until next time, take care and good night.